Hi, I'm Candace, and this is Yoga and Pilates. Sometimes people call that Yogalates, together for a deep inner wisdom of the core. The core muscles are really what connect us to our highest self. So this area here that we're always protecting, because it holds so much of our viscera, the core beliefs what we know to be true about ourselves. Let's take a couple of breaths. Inhale and stretch up. Exhale, release down. Inhale through your nose as you expand and lift the spine up. Blow out through your mouth as you retain that height on the sides of the spine. 2 more times. Inhale. Begin to feel what's radiating out from that core. What are you creating today? 1 more time. From here, let's try. Maybe you're sitting on something. In fact, I'm going to come off of that something and then bring the soles of the feet together. All right, we're all different. Some people, when we come down to this pose, the knees go way up and we lean way back. If that's true, then definitely stay seated on top of something. Bring your hands to your inner knees and push down with your hands, but pull up with your knees. So resist that. So you are making a slight butterfly wing here, but there's resistance. So push, push. Hands are pushing down, knees are pulling up. All right, so inhale, exhale. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth, and begin to gather and collect your attention to the core. Your core being, your deep, who you know to be for sure. So say yes to this practice today. So far, we're just doing an awareness of how we're combining the breath with the postural muscles, the core muscles around the waist that uplift us and bring us to that inner knowing. 2, breathe out, and 1. That should have really awoken those inner thigh muscles where we're really connected to the abdominal muscles. Let's extend one leg out. I'm in fact going to take this leg all the way out to one side and then move back and forth so that the seat is planted firmly, not tipped one side or the other. Take the arms out. Inhale. Exhale, roll the shoulders back and down. Inhale, pull up through the core. Exhale, spread out through the chest and through the fingertips. Inhale. This time, exhale, twist to one side. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, twist to the other side. Inhale to center. So the movement here is around the spine, around the lumbar and the abdominal waist. Remember that those muscles connect all the way deep inside, all the way around and into the spine. So a lot of times we picture like the muscles and the skin and, oh, I guess that stuff being all the way on the outside, and then the viscera, the digestive organs, all, being on the inside, and they do have to stay on the inside. But the muscles actually weave in and out and throughout, and they can move. Muscles move. It's just like you put, something down, and then you go to pick it up, and it's not there anymore, right? It moved. Same thing with the abdominal muscles. They move. So we're training and educating in a safe way how to move those muscles to support an uplifted and open spine so that we can get to the highest essence of what we truly believe about ourselves. 2 more times. Exhale, remember that scooping, lifting, pulling upward and inward. Exhale. Now, I landed over this long leg, so come over that long leg. Reach the arms up. Now reach right and left, so one shoulder lifting up away from its hip. Gently warm and glide and slide the muscles around all of the hard connective tissue. Now, some of our tissue is hard, cold, tight, stiff, really quite unyielding. Keep pulling up through the core, through the viscera. 3, 2, keep energizing this leg that's outstretched. And 1, inhale, extend up and back. Inhale, now forward fold over this leg. If you have the band, this would be a good time probably to pick up that band, wrap it around the ball mound toes, and give it a pull. And the essence of pulling is to uplift the spine. So the front of the spine, the back of the spine, and all around is gaining energy, gaining fluidity. So gently warm with your breath. Let your head tick-tock a little side to side to feel around the big muscles. These are big muscles that hold up our head. 3, 2. So we're lubricating around the central nervous system, the spine. And then just hold. Let your head hang down. 3. Notice what you're holding on tight to. Well, probably your hand. That's one thing. But what about your opposite hip or your low back? And 1. Let's release that band. Bring the hand on the side of the bent knee back and behind you at a diagonal. Point this other toe of the long leg. Reach the arm out over it. Inhale. And then as you exhale, just bend this back elbow and stretch up and over and hold. So we're keeping the hips down for a moment. 3 breaths here by combining the best elements of yoga, which really, to me, are the meditative aspects, that I'm being calm, relaxed in my body. Now inhale, stretch the arm over that leg. This time we're going to go all the way up. Exhale, push down with this back arm, push down with this heel, lift the hips up, come up onto the top of sort of this knee, and reach up and over and like wildly express an openness around that front viscera. Remember I said we spend all of our time connecting, collecting, and protecting the abdominal walls, and then whatever's in there, because whatever's in there is more than just a digestive. There is a nervous system that knows deep down what you believe, what you know for sure, things that you never had to be taught, nothing that you ever even had to experience, and you just know. Make your way all the way back down. That's a lot. That's a lot of things. Let's switch over to the other leg. So at first, just take one leg all the way out, bend this other knee in, rock back and forth so that you're removing the flesh that's keeping your hips from settling its weight down into the floor. Flex this other foot so that this leg is really energized. Roll the shoulders onto the back, stretch the arms out. Inhale. Now as you exhale, gather all the abdominal tissue and pull it up the elevator of the spine. Lift the back of the neck up high. Inhale here. Now when you exhale, twist. Turn to one side, gathering the abdominal muscles. Inhale to center. Blow out through the mouth as you turn the other way. Keep sinking in to an inner guidance system. Now that can mean a lot of things. For now, let's talk about the inner guidance system that moves muscles. And why we would even move muscles. Why don't we just stay put? That we would be safe, right? Just staying in one place. Exhale. Well, if you've ever been unable to move for some reason, you know that that's not true, that's not healthy, and it doesn't even feel good. 3 more times. So the mind is directing the muscle to move the bones and to create space. Come back to center. Inhale, exhale. I just wanted to give another muscular contraction there. Then turn towards this long leg. Reach the arms up overhead. This is where we glide one shoulder, then the other shoulders. We're opening up left and right sides of the waist. We're looking for suppleness. We're looking for movement potentials. We're gliding and gently warming the viscera. All of the things that were too hard before. So this might feel too difficult, that definition of hard, but your practice should be learning, a constant learning practice, not that we're just doing this. Come back or just hold, exhale, extend back, gather the abdominals, inhale up, exhale to forward fold. This would be the time to grab the band or the strap, wrap it around just at the top of the big toe mounds there, and give it a pull. The goal here by using the strength of the arms is to guide the low back to lift up. If you've ever had low back pain, and if that low back pain comes from the compression of bones and ligaments and things pushing into each other and eventually pushing into the nerves that surround that area, you know that what we really need is space. You know, just like in a relationship, you need space. You have to be able to change with the steady flow of our ever-changing waters around us. Inhale, exhale, tick-tock the head side to side. Begin to notice, begin to soak in to the muscles around the neck and how they're holding on to the tensions. Even today, we're recording this relatively early in the day. Maybe to you, I don't know what time it is where you are. But notice that there's tensions, and it could even be occurring because of sleep. Now let your head fall down. Do 3 slow breaths. Notice what you're holding. Of course, the hand's holding, but is this opposite hip, waist, low back, knee, belly, is the chest holding? Are you holding? And 1. Let's rock or roll all the way up. I want to hold on to this band for a moment. Bring the soles of the feet to the floor. Let's bring together the best of the best. So the best in yoga is like the downward dogs and the boats and the planks. We all know that to be true, maybe even the warriors. And the best in Pilates are the rolling action to liberate the spine and the lungs. I'm taking this band, wrapping it around the feet, and I want to think yoga boat. Remember, in yoga boat, shoulders open, spine long. That's the whole purpose of yoga, is to elongate the central nervous system so that we can see more clearly. Tip back, engage the abdominals more, lengthen the spine up through the back of the skull so the chin is slightly down, so the back of the skull is energy rising. Give this a little bit of a bicep curl to activate the arms. Give me a nice little pump there on the arms. And then if you want to lift off, now we're using the band today, it's a little bit more of an aid. But if you're not used to it, which most of us who I know are doing this class with me, we're not used to doing this with the band, it actually is a learning experience. A learning experience in balance and how the abdominals are holding, but also a learning experience how the iliopsoas, there's a muscle, the hip flexor that lifts the leg up that you're feeling now, and I'm sure you are after 3. Pull the shoulders down, lift the spine and the belly in and up. 2. And 1, come down. We'll take that off. We're going to come right back to that, so don't throw your band across the room. Bring one foot to the floor, and then that other leg, I don't know if you can see, twist the leg out. All right, so that from the knee and the thigh, turn out. Use your hands behind you so you don't fall back, so we never slump the spine. And then you might need to lean further back. You're going to have to find your sleep number here. How far back is the right number to try to lift this leg up and sort of across. So it sort of arch. It comes up, over, and across, over, and back down. But you're lifting with that inner thigh. Remember that inner knee pushing thing we did in the beginning? Now that's coming to life. We're testing that out. We're lifting up the heavy barbell, the weight room, when you finally get to that heavy barbell, you're able to lift courageously, something you never thought you could lift before. Well, this leg is something you might think, oh, I don't have the strength to lift that. Inhale, exhale. Keep guiding and directing the energy system from your mind into especially the muscles around your waist, that transversus abdominis. 3, 2, and 1. So we're going to take that leg all the way out, fold this knee down, give the hips a push, chest forward, flex the foot, walk forward, and sink down. All right, let you stay here saying yes. Yes. Yes to your practice. Yes to whatever lesson. Sometimes the muscles feel stressed and strained and pushed and pulled. And yes, you feel that lactic acid buildup. That's the burn people talk about. But that's really just like sweating in a hot room. It's just part of the metabolic process. The real work is in going in and receiving the lesson so that the muscle actually is becoming more educated. Muscles aren't dumb. They're not just stretching and contracting, in any direction. 3 slow breaths, saying yes. So I'm going to crawl this one hand out because I'm saying yes to the stretch. I kind of worked that side waist yesterday. 2, and then push off and roll back up. Let's go over to the other leg. I'll flip. 1 foot to the floor, 1 leg out. That leg rotates out at the thigh. This is where you find your number. How far back do I need to go? So try to stay a little bit further up. That makes that contraction a little bit more challenging. Brace the abdominals, so find that inner guidance, the strength and the pulling in, and then lift this leg up, arc it over, sort of crosses in front, cuts off that other knee, and then out and back down. So I made that little movement a little bit more challenging than just lift. You know, just kind of like lift and throw it anywhere. Because in life, it really matters where we put things, you know, where you put something so that you can retrieve it later or so that it serves some purpose. So as you're exhaling, gather the musculature around the lower belly now. That inner thigh muscle, iliopsoas, abdominal muscle, whatever you want to call that stuff there. That's guiding, directing, and above all, controlling this leg's movement. Keep reflecting on the deep knowing. This is an education. It's kind of like you're learning your math table or you're learning the alphabet. So moment by moment, little micro movement by micro movement, you're receiving the wisdom deep into, right now, for me, it's the inner thigh. 3. Keep squeezing the low back as evenly as you're squeezing the front. And 1. Come up. Let this front knee flop outward. We're going to push back. Get the low back engaged. And then fold forward. So we're evenly in between the two legs. But I want you to discover with a sort of a passion and a devotion, what is it that I need? What is shaping my practice today? Is it resilience? You know, you come up with it. Is it peacefulness? Is it the ability to let go? Someone just said that to me today, that Candace, you need to learn to let go. Yes, I know. That's one of the reasons I do this. So if you can dissolve some of us are too well connected to what we are doing, and just kind of flow with the twists and the turns of the hard spaces that you've created. Remember, the inner wisdom, the inner knowledge, that highest being is always in there untainted. You never, ever, ever change who that is. Whoever you were when you were like 4 years old, you're still that same person. Just things have happened to you on the outside that make you look different. 2. I'm enjoying this stretch. I hope you are too. And 1. Let's come back one more time into that boat pose. You remember this? We used the band last time. Let's try that again. Wrap it around the highest point, the ball mounds of the feet. Give it a little bicep curl. Lean back, scoop the belly. Lift the back of the neck up, 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 up. That should give you this like length, this like inner lifting, drawing inward, upward. And then if you want to lift off, keep the tension on this bicep. It seems easier this time, doesn't it? Keep warming the breath in your body. So the breath in the body, well, it isn't breath. Once it gets into your body, it transforms, right, into other things. It transforms into warmth and chemicals and other chemicals and other chemicals and other chemicals. 3, and it ends up heat. 2, and 1. Leave the band there, but just come down. So your deal here is you're either bending your knees or you're straightening your legs out. And what determines that is, 1, how long your strap is, or how long your band is. But 2, how much tension you want. So try just a micro bend in the knees. And then try flying your arms out and back. Out and back. So this should be difficult. You may not be able to fly your arms all the way out and back. So I want you to find the conditioned strength that we have learned in the abs, maybe through that boat pose, maybe through some of the breathing exercises. Safely open up and close. Now these bands are not perfect, right? They're not alive, they're not adapting, they're not getting better. They're actually going in the opposite direction. So it's possible that these bands can break, so I just want you to stay aware of that. Chances are it won't hurt anything, but it'll scare you. Keep the shoulders spun open. Keep uplifting through the core. 3. Good. 2. Now row. So with the band kind of next to the body, and I'm making like a little handle here. Row the elbows down and back. Down and back. All right, so now this is a lot easier for me than the fly was. So I'm going to choke up. I'm going to get closer to the foot, and I'm going to straighten my legs out a little bit more. Still that little lean, shoulders down and back. So I just made it a little bit more challenging. The goal is to keep the mind in the movement and to mind the movement. In other words, that the mind is always like directing. It's like saying, you go over here, you go over here. No, you stay there, and then you turn over here. And the mind is directing all of that. And what this does is it rewires the conditioned stories that outer person. Remember the thing that's gotten beaten up through the years and has changed how it looks to the outer world? We're reconditioning that to be more in line with the inner embodiment of who you actually are. So every time you pull back, pull the abdominals into that. 3, who you really are. 2, and 1. Let's release all of that, come around to child's pose, and enjoy some of that yoga. I want to remind you as you're coming into child's pose what yoga means. So let's pause to reflect on why we're doing this. Yoga means connected to the highest union. Let that sink in. Connected to the highest union. There are lessons everywhere. There is a guru, a teacher, with you now. Use a calm, flowing, directed breath. So use the Pilates, I'm controlling, I'm directing, I'm paying attention. Use that to explore those recesses. Where is that inner guru? 3. 2. From here, roll up into hero pose. That's a yoga. Then virasana. There's many ways to come into hero, but your knees have to be pretty healthy to do any of them. So if your knees aren't healthy, no hero for you. Take your feet, you're out in front of you, and just kind of follow along. If your knees are healthy enough to do this, they might be healthy enough to roll your thighs out. Your knees come together, but your heels widen like a letter V. Widen a little bit out to make a seat. Now, if that seat is no, then you grab a block or a blanket and you sit on a block or a blanket so that the knees aren't really, really bent. We're going to hold that, turn the arms, palms face up, pull the shoulders down and back, uplift the inner core. So not just the front, but the sides and the back, uplift all of that. Now soften the shoulders, let the eyelids float downward. I want you to float the breath in. We're going to stay with a slow, even, steady breath. Float, float, float. Then float the breath out. Float the breath in. Float the breath out. So the image here is of something in the natural world like a smoke or a fog or a leaf drifting on a gentle breeze. This isn't a forceful pushing. This is a float in and a relaxed floating out. Now for most of us, just this pose, this hero's pose, is really challenging. In fact, for most of the people I've ever worked with, they can't come close to this pose at all. So if you're in it, then you're in it. You're still receiving the benefit of stretching the front of the thighs. But most of all, this is called lightning bolt pose. Some people call it lightning bolt because it is to receive the energy and the knowledge of that bigger energy system. So there's that energy system that we call, ourselves, our inner highest knowledge. But there's a bigger one too that we are connecting to. So just like how lightning takes energy and, zaps it into the earth, creating heat really quickly, lightning bolt pose, we're receiving. So keep the satellite dish of the chest and the heart open. 2 slow breaths here. Float in. Float it out. And out. Let's come back up into hands and knees. I'm going to remove the block and stuff and come to hands and knees. Turn one toe under and then stretch that leg back. Stretch the other arm forward, so in opposition. So it's one leg, the opposite arm reaching forward. Now push the foot down into the floor. When you inhale, stretch the arm out to the side. When you exhale, reach it in front of you. Inhale the arm out, airplane wing. Exhale it forward. Inhale out. Exhale forward. Now we're inhaling through the mouth, back to Pilates. Exhaling through the mouth and scooping the belly in and up. Remember, that back foot keeps the pressure on. We just stretched that quadricep, the front of the thigh. Now we're activating it. 2. Exhale, scoop. 1. Leave the arm forward. Now uplift that back leg. Now little pulses with the arm and the leg. Squeeze the low back. Squeeze the belly in. Inhale, exhale. Keep the shoulders broad, square, strong, and steady. The goal in life is to endure, right? The goal in life is to endure the push and the pull, the stress and the strain, the twists and the turns, but in a joyful way. So it's not enough just to be here, not enough just to endure. As you exhale, collect the energy around your waist. Pull those muscles in. 3, 2, I know you're feeling that low back by now. That's a good thing. And 1, let's come to puppy pose. Remember that leg. Arms a little forward. Push down with your palms. Hips up and back. And your spine is lengthening. So we're not just simply collapsing all the way down, nor are we coming all the way up. We're stretching straight back. So if your fingertips were 1 point and your tailbone was the 2nd point, those 2 points elongate. Remember, the overarching goal of the yoga asana or the poses is to open a space in the back. The overarching goal of Pilates is to educate the muscles to continually adapt, to control the movement. So you could almost think of as yoga as the holding and Pilates as the moving, but it's certainly not that simple. Now rock towards the outer edge of your pinkies, then rock towards the thumb. So do a few of those. Push down the outer edge, then push to the inner edge. 2. You should feel that action in your shoulders too. And then come back up. Glue the shoulders onto the back. Turn the other toe out and push the heel back. Hold that. Find the core muscles, sync them up, and then stretch the opposite arm forward. Inhale the arm out. Exhale the arm forward. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Keep elongating the spine. Keep pulling into the core, that viscera, that nose. We often say it, that I know it in my gut. Nobody had to tell you that something wasn't right, something needed to change, that something was changing that you thought was holding steady, right? There's something not right with you today. 3 more times. Find strength in your low back. Find strength around the waist. So then leave the arm forward when you're ready. Lift that back leg up. What a seismic shift just happened, right? Now little pulses up with the arm and the leg. You should be consciously connecting to the abdominal muscle that makes like a basket around the lower waist. And you should be pulling that basket in so that it's not sagging. It's not dragging. Keep gaining more and more control over what you know to be true. Keep broadening through the chest. Remember our receiving, that satellite dish. 3, 2, I see you, you're doing great. And 1. Push back into child's pose, so that is press all the way down and back. Now in child's pose, the hips go as far back as they can. And the back and the abs relax as much as they can. So if you can let go, this is the Candace thing, right? If you can let go of the shoulders, do that. If you can let go of the abs, do that. If you can let go of the feet, do that. 3 more times. Disperse or dispense or dissolve your attention with each breath through your body. So sometimes we concentrate the breath and the attention, and sometimes we spread it out. And this is really the essence of yoga. Gathering together and opening back out. So let's do that. Come up and come into, I'm going to call it a low lunge. Now we're not going to come down to the hands quite yet. I just use these blocks to get me there. One leg forward, one leg back. I'm actually going to reach the arms overhead. I'm going to make these little flame fingers. I don't know if you can see my fingers. You don't have to do this. But I like to do that because it reminds me that the more that I push down into the earth, just like a fire, the more that I gather up the kindling and the oxygen and all the things that go into a fire, the more energy I have, right? So the more I eat, the more calories I have to burn. It's true, right? It's just a question of whether I burn them or not. Now, as you exhale, push the hips forward and lift the chest up. What I want you to gather from this, what I want you to learn from this little movement pattern is that by opening up the front, we're healing and squeezing into the back. So remember I said we always spend our time crunched in, protecting our, our heart and our gut. What if we spend a little bit of time protecting the back? Now I'm going to take the arms out more like, I don't know, what is this, a goalpost? And then rock the elbows forward, the hands back, push the hips forward, and uplift the lowest ribs. Give that a little come into the pose, come out of the pose sensation. This is really stretching that iliopsoas. This is the whole ball of wax here. This is what we came here for, to stretch out and learn how to educate the abdominals, to uplift and to hold us and to move us through the daily patterns. 2. That will come down. If you have blocks, they would be really handy here to come into monkey pose. Push the hips back. Then point and flex this front foot. Whenever you flex back, pull that hip back. So we're moving a little gently. We're gliding and sliding. The nerves in our body can get quite sticky. When something wet and fatty gets dried out, it gets sticky. That's actually a good thing, unless it gets stuck. So we're gliding and sliding. That's why you feel good after our yoga session, is because you could actually feel and begin to change the sensation and the relationship of how your mind perceives the body. So it's one thing for me to sit here, is look into the camera and say, feel better. Tell yourself you're happy. And you go, yeah, I guess, a little. Flex back and hold. 3, really push down though. Dig the heel down. That should really wake up the fibers on the back of the leg. And 1. Push forward. And then we'll switch to the other leg. Do you remember how we started? I hope you do, because I don't have any clue. Push down and forward. Remember, we came up. Ooh, we reach these flames up. Wiggle the fingers some. Wiggling the fingers actually is useful. Some of us are getting older, and sometimes like kind of that arthritis begins to creep in. So moving the fingers one by one by one by one by one by one by one does matter. As you exhale now, as the shoulders sink down, push the hips forward and uplift the front belly. Broaden out the chest, so really open up the edges. What this does is it contracts the back. 3, remember, shoulders go down, hips go forward, belly rises forward and up, kind of like you're just expanding, expand out the front. Now, pull the elbows slightly down. As you exhale, elbows rock forward and hands rock back. So sort of glide in and out of that a little bit. Exhale, really twisting the shoulder blades backward. Yoga is simply a path. It doesn't tell you what you should be thinking. It doesn't tell you where you are going. It doesn't tell you what your destination is. 3, 2, so stay with it. Stay really devoted to what you are learning along your individual journey. Hold, hold, hold. Open up a little bit more. Good, and then release down. We're going to use the blocks, if you have them, to push the hips back to monkey. This is actually half monkey, point and flex. Monkey, and I'm not sure why it's called that, is a full, what we would call a split. Remember, when your foot goes back, that same side hip pushes back. Find the edge. This is a really important concept. Find the place where this is too hard. Kind of like you've walked into a wall, but then you find miraculously you can move a wall because you've done that. You've moved mountains, right? You've figured out things, the impossible you've made possible. So find that wall and push it. Hold back. Push the heel down. Just breathing the shape of the body. 2, keep going in. Push forward. We're going to come down to a seated pose. Do you remember the beginning? It might just be me that doesn't have a good memory, so I don't mind telling you. This was from the beginning. Remember in the beginning we were sitting and we had the soles of the feet together. Remember that? And we were trying to find a way to push down on these knees while not collapsing the low back. Just do that for a second. Then use your hands and pull. Remember that row we did? And then kind of release that. Take one leg a little bit further out, like it's over there now, and then take this other leg and let it drop down. Turn your body toward this other leg that's over there now, and then chest towards its shin. So maybe hold on to the leg. Keep elongating the spine. Adjust where this foot is landing so that this shin is in the frame of your body. So it's not way out there and it's not across. It's in the frame. Knee to heel is sort of chest. I am enjoying these low back stretches. These are really useful stretches. Because sometimes our low back isn't hurt in just one plane or one line. Many times it's a convoluted sort of twist, crunch feeling. After 2 breaths, chest to shin. Push off, use your hands. And we'll try the other side. So let's see. Kick one leg out to the side. Whatever this other leg needs to do, it might have to go out or it might have to fold back behind you. So play around. This other leg isn't really part of what we're doing here. Turn your chest to the frame of the shin. Stretch up over it and down. I'm going to play around with this other leg and see how that affects. It makes a difference where it is. Two more breaths. I am enjoying. I could do about 30 more minutes of one or other of these sides because there's so many diagonals. And one. Let's make our way down and onto the back. And come into happy baby. You know which one that is. You know I love a yoga class. I'm sorry, a Pilates class that's all yoga poses. Hold on to the feet if you got them and pull down. If you don't, hold on to the thighs. But open the knees so that the low back can come back together. My version of Pilates class is really kind of a bait and switch, right? Yeah, you came for Pilates, but you got a lot of yoga. What do your feet need now? Do they need to swirl around? Do they need to flex back? Do they need to rock in? Remember those inner thighs? Do the legs want to straighten up? Some people, enjoy that stretch. Release the legs, twist the knees and hips to one side. Give this top leg a circle. And then use your abs to flip the knees and hips to the other side. Give this top leg a circle. And then come back and settle in, settle down. Move in to Shavasana. And you are free. Inhale, blow out smoothly. Begin to roll to your side. Open your eyes and then, when you're ready, push up. Move up and off the floor. Come back up. Swirl the shoulders onto the back. Lift the crown of the head and then stretch up. Inhale. Hold that. And then exhale. You did it. Good job today, everyone. Thank you for joining me.